Hey everyone, Coty here, and today I'm going to be looking at some of the art that you guys have been sending me based on the tutorials and stuff that I do on YouTube. I'm not going to say any names or share any profiles or anything because I'm not sure if everyone wants me to do that. I've gotten some people that say, yeah, it's okay to share. Other people I haven't heard from about that, so I don't want to give any information away. All I want to do today is just look at some of these pictures and kind of critique them or just talk about them, what I like, what I don't like, or not that I don't necessarily like it, or just some things that I would do maybe different, or just some things that kind of stand out. So, I don't think that I'm necessarily like an art professor or anything, or, someone who is in a museum or a gallery or something. So I'm not the most qualified person, but I think in doing this kind of work, I can kind of at least give some suggestions, or just again, just point out some things that I noticed. So we're gonna go ahead and start. And on screen, I have this first one, and this one, it's got this nice kind of turquoise background, and then it's got kind of this weird black and white cloudy kind of middle, and then for the Pollock style splatter, we've got white, black, and yellow. It looks like there might be some other color besides black. I can't really tell. Let me zoom in. Looks like maybe it's a dark red or dark brown or dark purple or something. I can't really I can't tell by these cans. It looks like maybe a dark maroon or something. But anyway, so this actually was the painting that kind of inspired me for the colors for the live stream Pollock style painting that I did, where I did like a turquoise background and then I had yellow in it. So actually the color scheme is what inspired me to do that. So I really like the color scheme on it. As for the splatter, I mean, there's a lot of white, unless that color on there, unless there's like another color on here that isn't white, that's just very light. It's very white heavy. So, I mean, that's not necessarily a problem. I mean, maybe that's what they're going for. There's just a lot of it. So it kind of trumps everything else. So it's not necessarily balanced. Now, again, that could be what they were going for. I'm not sure. But it's a lot. As for the background is kind of odd, just because there's kind of like splotches of the color. And, you've got like the black on the bottom left, like here, let me use my mouse. So there's a lot of black here and then like a little bit of black here, but that's kind of like all there is. But then again, there's a lot of white kind of surrounding that, and it's just kind of in the middle. So I don't know if maybe they were trying to highlight these two like mid portions of the painting. I'm not 100% sure. So that the background I feel is like a little off. And then there's also a lot of white on it, but overall it's not bad. Again, that could be kind of an artistic thing. It does feel a little unbalanced. So even in like a Pollock style painting, you can still have a balance with the colors, or the layers or anything like that. And I think that with abstract art, a lot of people just think that abstract art, you just throw something on there and that's the painting or that's art. And to some degree, I mean, yes, there is let's say there's less time or work involved than in a painting that might take 30 hours for that one painting. Yeah, there's less of that, but there should still be some kind of structure or intent or some kind of balance. There should be something that you're striving for, that when you look at the painting you can see that. So again, could all be artistic choice. If it was me, I would try to balance out the black and white a little more, because I feel like if you're going to use black and white, that is the ultimate example of balance, is black and white. So if you have too much of one and not the other, unless you're trying to make a specific statement with it, personally, I just try to balance them out because I feel like that's the whole point of having black and white. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, so this is one that someone sent me actually a couple days ago of some Pollock style paintings that they did. And I love these. Phenomenal. Looking at the line work, there's it's very good. Like I actually love these a lot. So if you're watching this video and you made this, phenomenal. I think that they are very balanced. You can tell, again, there's a little bit more white than black, but you can't really, it's not too much, right? It's like if you're looking at the painting, I would say it's probably like maybe 60% white and then 40% black. Again, doesn't matter. Like, it's still well executed, because there's so much dynamic lines going on. So there's a lot of lines going on, and there's a lot of kind of separation between the lines. So that really helps it, because there's that separation. It allows those lines to breathe. So even though there's a lot going on, those lines are very, very clean. I don't know if this person just allowed the layers to dry and they just kept layering the lines on them, or if this took a long time to make. I don't know how they got it so clean. I mean, obviously I have an idea, but I don't know how they specifically did it. But yeah, overall phenomenal pieces. I really like these a lot. And this just kind of shows you that, again, black and white, it's essentially, they're meant to balance each other, right? So, and it's not just black and white, it's any set of colors. I don't mix a lot of colors like together to make new colors, and I probably could get into that a little more, but a lot of times, again, it's about balance. So even in a Pollock style painting, you can still have a balance where there's a certain concentration of colors or a set of lines in a specific area. Again, just balance, I think, is a big thing, especially for Pollock style paintings. So this overall, just black and white, it just goes to show you that, again, a piece can look nice, it can look good, clean, with just two colors and a bunch of lines. So very, very happy with this piece. So we're going to move on. Next, we've got someone who is just brand new into painting. And I think that this is an interesting choice. So the corner is it throws me off. Obviously it's a kind of an artistic thing. They're like breaking convention or something. I'm not sure. But for me, like if I was doing this where it was like solid blocks with a Pollock style paint, like type painting, like a splatter painting or, lines painting, if I was doing that kind of on top of or part of a painting that was already there, I would probably not have that corner there, just to kind of make the focus the Pollock style piece, because I'm fine with the big block of black and white at the top. So this up here, totally fine with all of that. But the thing that throws me off is just the corner. So not even the lines themselves, although I would love to see more lines, because one, they're very thin, and they have kind of the squiggly effect, which tells me that they're probably using something very thin, like the back of a paintbrush, or something like that. And the way you can tell is because if you dip like the back of a paintbrush very far into the paint and then immediately take it out, what's going to happen is you get this big blob at the beginning, and then as you're kind of writing with it, essentially you're doing like this cursive. That's how you get the thin lines, because these lines thin out over time, and you can kind of see this here, like with this line here, it just gets thinner and thinner as it goes. So they were probably not throwing the paint, but just drizzling it over the canvas. using something very thin. So, I mean, again, I would not have the corner down there just to kind of make a statement. Again, that's just my personal opinion. And I would have a little bit more lines, so I don't care if they're just, drizzled and they're just kind of cursive lines. I would actually have more going on. Because I get it, you're trying to keep them contained in the square, so you're not throwing the paint. That's fine. But yeah, I would definitely do a little bit more. All right, let's move on. And there it is. Okay. Okay. So I actually genuinely like this piece. The colors are actually very interesting. They're very vibrant. Now, I've talked about recently, I've talked about a few times, but mostly recently in my video about, can you do Pollock style paintings with acrylic paint? Just looking at this painting, I'm pretty sure they used acrylic, and I'm going to tell you why. So if we zoom in at the painting and we look at it and kind of, pan up and down and left and right, there's a couple of things that you can kind of tell. First off, the paint is very thin. It has these like translucent property, right? So you can see through this yellow, like right here. You can see the orange and the turquoise and the white beneath it, which tells me that it's very thin. It's been thinned down. Okay, so I know it's very, very thin paint, which is fine. You can do that, but you can tell that it's been thinned down heavily because it's translucent. Now, yellow is kind of translucent anyway. That's why you're seeing that more on the yellow than, say, the turquoise or the orange, the white even. But yeah, I mean, the yellow's been thinned down. Now, the reason I know it's acrylic is because of the hardness of the paint. So I don't know how to explain it, but when you look at it, it's very flat. So you can see that just looking at the painting, let's double click. It's very flat. So there's no, the problem with acrylic paint that I found, and I showed this in my testing video where I tested different brands, is that when acrylic dries, it's not very reflective, and that's why you have to use like a gloss medium or some kind of clear coat over it to kind of get that gloss look. And so here we can see that there's no light being reflected off of this paint. Now, it could just be the lighting itself, but there's a shadow. You can tell there's a shadow here on the left, meaning there's light here. And you can see that even with the light here on the left source, so you can tell that the light source is over here on the left because it's kind of getting darker as it goes. So looking at the light source, even here where the light is, it's still eating that light. So it's kind of absorbing it. Also, another factor with acrylic is kind of like right here. I don't know if I can zoom in anymore. It looks like it's, I don't even know what program this is. It's like Windows' program. Looking at kind of the paint here, you can see a little bit of a crack here. You can see some cracking. You can see cracking here, and you can see some cracking here. So especially in the white, you see the cracking. Oh, you can see it here. And then also the bubbling. I found that with acrylic, it'll bubble because obviously there's water in there. So the acrylic paint, as it kind of breaks up, that get those air bubbles get trapped in there when you like throw it, because it's not as like thin as gloss enamel. So usually when you use gloss enamel, you'll get those bubbles too if you wet it down too much or put it into the sun so it dries too fast and it evaporates. So it can happen to gloss enamel. But looking at the thickness of the lines, I'm assuming that this is acrylic because these lines are very thick, which means it could be whatever the tool is. I'm assuming whatever tool they used, it was producing these thick lines, which is fine. I mean, I'm not against that artistic choice. But also the acrylic, because it has more density, because it's got the binders and stuff in it, that also create those thicker lines, because when you throw it, there's more density to it. I don't know how else to explain it. House paint or gloss enamel is just more liquidy. Again, could be, whatever tool they were using, but now I have seen some cheaper house paints and gloss enamels crack, so I guess this could be a house paint. But looking at the colors, these look like acrylic paints that you would probably buy on like a store shelf. Now, here's another interesting thing before we move on. You can see that the black here is kind of, there's dots of black and not really of any of the other ones. You can see that it's splashed more than the rest, and then there's dots. This is telling me either that they didn't dilute that one as much as the other ones, or they diluted it more but it was running out and they were just kind of throwing it on there. So I'm going to lean towards the latter. But again, not against the artistic choice of the type of paint, or the method, or the thickness of the lines. I'm not against any of that. And even the balance isn't too bad. I would like to see a little more black, unfortunately, just because it does kind of get lost. I'm assuming it was running out because there's not a lot on here. So I can see that there's some on the bottom layer, which is fine. But it would have been nice a little bit more to see a little bit more. Also stacking of layers. There's not a lot of stacking. You can tell pretty much looking at the painting like what came first. So it looks like it's probably black and then orange and then white and then turquoise and then yellow. I'm assuming. So overall, not bad, but the cracking in the paint just indicates acrylic, and that's something I've talked about in other videos. So you can definitely use acrylic, but it is something you run into. So all right, let's go to the last one that I have, which I had another one, but I couldn't find it. So this is one that was sent to me a while back. Unfortunately, the picture is not any bigger, so I can't really zoom in, and it's super small. So there's not really any way for me to kind of zoom in without the picture distorting. So looking at it, obviously it's a small picture, so it's a little hard to see, but it is a nice painting. It does look similar to a painting that I've done. I do like it. You can tell it does look like it was made with gloss enamel, even looking at this small image. And I would say that because of the lines and how thin they are and how much they loop. So even with wet down, like, okay, let's say you use acrylic and you wet it down. The problem is you still really have to kind of throw it to get it to do anything. Gloss enamel is already runny, so even if you dilute it a little bit, it's already got properties where you can kind of make, lines or splashes, whatever you want to do. So this looks like it was made with gloss enamel. It's too small for me to tell, and it's got gray and black. Sorry, it's late at night. So ultimately, I do like the painting overall. I would have actually on this one, ironically, I would actually like to see a little bit more white, because I feel like the white kind of gets lost in the gray and the black. Not too much, so it's not like an overall bad painting, but you can kind of see like more white down here than you can up here. But again, could be an artistic thing, or they just don't know that. I mean, it's not like all my paintings are perfect. When I'm looking at them, I'm always trying to create balance. But overall, a solid piece, and I do like it. I'm a big fan of the monochrome colors, black and white, gray. So I do like it overall. So that's all the paintings that I had to show you guys. And if you have paintings that you've tried based on, some of the stuff I've talked about, then I'd love to see them. The easiest way to get them to me is either email them to me. Try to use a large format. You can email them to me at my email. and just let me know that I have your permission to show it on screen. Or you can send them to me on Instagram. It's just Instagram/Coty Schwabe, and you can send them to me there, and maybe I'll do another, critique, or I'll do another like showcase where I just kind of show your art. If you're interested in me doing that, because I love to see the stuff that you've made based on the things that I've talked about. That really makes me feel good about the work that I do and the things that I share on YouTube. So I really appreciate that. But that's all I got for you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. God bless, and see you then. Bye, guys.